Hey, how's it going, everyone? So what am I working on now? Well, I got that Colorado in the shop. The one with the excessive crank issue, and I'm wondering if it's either fuel or if it's crank sensor. If this thing sits, it's got a long crank. If you start it up like right away after, or go to start it up after you've had it running, it starts up relatively easy. So I was saying in a previous video that I used to have a fuel pressure gauge setup, and I either lent it to somebody or whatever. I had two. The other one, I think I lent it to somebody and I never got it back. I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. And then I'm pretty sure I have another one over at Joe Mo's, but I'm not sure. I can't. It could be in my storage unit. I have no idea. So anyway, what I did yesterday was I actually stopped over at Harbor Freight, and they have two different ones. And one is an Icon, and it's about $400 for a fuel pressure testing kit. And then they had the Maddox one, which was about $100. And I'm like, you know what? For the amount of times I actually use this thing, I'm not going to spend that kind of money. So I bought the Maddox one. Let's actually see what it has in it. So here it is, and it's showing that it has the different type of Schrader adapters and stuff like that. Now this car actually does have a Schrader valve. Down there, see it? So we're going to hook up to that. So for now, let me open up this box and let's see what's actually in there. So here is the case out of the box. Let's open this up and actually see what's in here. Hello, there you go. Okay. So you got the different type of Schrader adapters. Hook your gauge up, there's your gauge. And there's two tiers to this. Oh, okay. This kit looks extremely similar to a kit that I purchased 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, it cost me $500. It's like extremely similar. Like frightfully similar. Oh well. It is what it is. What are you going to do? But yeah, I mean this is pretty cool. You got a whole bunch of different things here. You got a whole bunch of different fittings. These obviously fell out. Here's your gauge. But let me start to decipher what I need here. This is nice because this is a bleed off. When you have pressure in there, you can bleed it off through here. So that's actually pretty cool. All right. So now, here's the thing. Let's say we have the gauge hooked up here, and we see that fuel pressure is dropping off. Like, let's say it's fine, and you shut it off, and it starts dropping off. What does that mean? Got to figure out where it's dropping off. Is it dropping off on the return side? Is it dropping off on the pressure side? If it's dropping off on the pressure side, then it's more than likely a pump. The fuel pressure regulator should hold pressure. You know, so let's say it builds up to, let's just use a number 50. Let's say it builds up to 50 psi. Let's say the pump can make 75. Well, once it hits 50 psi, it bleeds off and bleeds back to the tank through the return. So, but let's say it's bleeding back. Let's say there's something wrong with the diaphragm in there, and it's bleeding back all the way to zero. System runs empty, you know, just from sitting. That's why I have the long crank. I don't know. Let's get the gauge hooked up and let's see what we got. All right, first thing we're going to do is take this cap off. If I can get my chubby little sausage fingers in there. Okay, so there is the Schrader valve. Now we have this adapter here, this hose, and we are going to hook this up down there. Now this, because I may have to use my other hand here doing this, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this. Let me get my hand down there, my other hand. So I could try to do this. I'm not sure if I could film this at the same time. Let's see. Yeah, maybe. Maybe rabbit. And you see there's a little bit of fuel down there. I don't know if you could see it. Where this thing bled through a little bit. Not much. So now what I did, if you look inside the top of that, see it's got a Schrader valve that helps keep any fuel, in case you disconnect it and you have pressure in there, it keeps it from blowing through. Now I have the gauge here and I hooked up this hose. These are quick connect fittings. These here okay, so that is hooked up. So now let me shut my trusty light off. Stick that here for right now. Now let's start it up and let's see what our actual fuel pressure is. Took a long time to get pressure because I could see the gauge from inside. So it's got 60 right now. And like I said, if you hit this, this will bleed off any air that's in the line here. Let's see. At least it's supposed to. At least it's supposed to. Well, maybe not. Okay. I'll have to look into that a little more in the future. But it's not doing anything right now. It's got 60, so let's shut it down, and it should retain pressure. And I got a funny feeling it's not. Well, it's holding at the moment, but I bet you it goes down. Let me just see something. Yeah, this actual valve is not working. I don't know why. It should be working, because it should bleed off pressure. I just disconnected the line there, and there is fuel there. So I can see it's holding pressure in there. And me pressing that should release it, but it's not releasing. Okay, so, oops. There, now it dropped. Let me do this. Let me crank it and see what the pressure actually goes to. See, now I have extra hoses, so I can actually, if I needed to run that thing out to the hood and tape it to the hood or windshield or whatever, so I can actually watch it, I could do that. Okay, I'm going to turn the key on. Okay, that answers that question. So it's not fuel related. It is the crank sensor related. So it's just weird that it was showing something. So I got to look this up now. If, I mean, it could be an intermittent crank sensor. Very possible. So, but I'm going to leave the gauge hooked up because I'm actually curious to see if it drops off. I don't think it will, but got to see. I don't even know where the crank sensor is on this motor, to be honest with you. All right, I'm going to have to look that up. All right, well, I just wanted to show you that. I wanted to show you checking fuel pressure and stuff like that. So, and this gauge for the price is pretty good. I will go back to Harbor Freight with that and say, you know, hey, this valve is not working. you know, can I just get a new valve, or I may just try opening it up just to see, in case for some reason they have like a some kind of a like a shipping like cap, which is possible, and they assembled it with the cap portion in it. I don't know. I gotta see. But you saw it didn't work. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just to help bleed it off. But I know the fuel pressure is good enough for this thing to run. I would think with this type of injection system, it should be like 48 to 55. I would assume. I know the older, like my truck, that has that old Vortex style with the spider, if you know what the spider is, on the inside of the intake. Those things require a minimum of like 55 or 60 to even start, if I'm not mistaken. And anything below 55, the car won't even run. The truck won't even run. So, but yeah, so that's kind of just what I wanted to show you with this. Pretty simple and straightforward. And for the price, $100? How can you beat that? Seriously. And this is my own money. I spent my own, you know, they don't give me these things. I have to buy these. So, but yeah, for $100, shoot. That's a good deal. All right. So anyway, that's it. Just wanted to show you that. All right, guys. Have a great day. Keep wrenching.